In the course of Western Christian history, especially beginning with Pope St. Gregory the Great in the 6th century, there was a long-held tradition that three women in the Gospels were in fact one and the same. Mary Magdalene, she who had 7 demons cast out by Jesus, the unnamed sinful woman who anointed Jesus in the house of Simon the Pharisee, and Mary of Bethany, the sister of Martha and Lazarus. But according to modern biblical scholarship and the official position of the Catholic Church today, these are 3 distinct individuals. The Church no longer identifies them as one woman, as it did in earlier centuries. For that reason, we must make it clear. Mary Magdalene is not the sinful woman mentioned in Luke chapter 7, nor is she Mary of Bethany, the sister of Martha and Lazarus. Any description of her as once being promiscuous, morally fallen, or a slave to sin is not based on Scripture and is no longer supported in the Church's liturgy or teaching. Mary Magdalene first appears in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, verse 2, where she is named among the women who had been healed by Jesus and followed him, as well as some women who had been cured of evil spirits and diseases. Mary, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had come out. Nowhere does the Gospel describe her as a woman who lived a public life of sin. The phrase 7 demons may symbolize a deep spiritual affliction or suffering, rather than literal possession or moral corruption. But what is certain is this: Mary Magdalene was healed, and her life was forever changed. From that moment, she followed Christ wholeheartedly. She became his faithful disciple, traveling with him, serving him, and supporting his ministry out of her own means. Her unwavering presence in the final days of Jesus' earthly life is a quiet testimony of love that does not falter. When many of the male disciples fled in fear, she remained. She stood at the foot of the cross beside Mary, the mother of Jesus, and the Apostle John. She watched as Jesus was taken down from the cross and laid in the tomb. And on the morning of the first day of the week, while it was still dark, she went to the tomb. She found it empty. Others came and left, but she stayed. And because she stayed, she saw him. In a moment drenched in mystery and grace, Jesus called her by name, Mary, and she recognized him. Her heart recognized the voice of her master. She did not cling to the moment. She ran, not away, but toward the others, to proclaim what she had seen. She became the first witness of the resurrection, the first to preach the good news. And so the Church honors her with a unique title, Apostola Apostolorum, the Apostle to the Apostles. In 2016, Pope Francis elevated her memorial to the rank of feast, placing her liturgically alongside the apostles. It was not merely a gesture of recognition, it was an invitation, a call to see in her story the power of fidelity, the dignity of the feminine witness, and the beauty of being known by name. After the resurrection, the Gospels do not tell us what became of Mary Magdalene. But in the Christian tradition of the West, especially in southern France in the region of Provence, a legend lives on. According to this legend, Mary Magdalene, distinct from Mary of Bethany, was persecuted in Jerusalem after the Ascension, along with Martha, Lazarus, and several companions. They were set adrift on a rudderless boat and eventually landed on the shores of what is now Saint Mary de la Mer. There, the story goes, they preached the gospel to the people of Provence. Mary Magdalene, it is said, later withdrew into a cave in the hills of Saint-Baume, where she spent the rest of her life in contemplation and prayer. This account has no basis in Scripture and has not been officially affirmed by the Catholic Church as historical fact. And yet it continues to inspire local devotion. Pilgrims still walk the paths believed to be hers. Churches and shrines still bear her name. Art and music still echo her memory. Because even if the details are wrapped in legend, the devotion is real and deep. One woman once shared a story from her childhood. She remembered watching a film called Illusions of Life about a girl who cruelly rejected her mother's love. After years of heartache, the mother died, and only then did the daughter feel remorse. That night, the girl, still angry, turned to her parents and said, "What's the point of coming back when it's too late? She's gone." Her father looked at her gently and said, "There is no such thing as too late when it comes to love." She didn't understand it then, but years later, as a mother herself, she did. Love stretches farther than resentment. Love waits, and when you love deeply, you begin to understand what it means to forgive freely. Mary Magdalene, though not the sinful woman once assumed, remains a powerful icon of love redeemed. She is the image of the soul healed and called to love in return. She stands as a living witness to the mercy of Christ, a mercy that restores, that sends, that transforms. There is another story, too, of a young monk assigned to weave a tapestry. Each day his work was repetitive, hidden, and seemingly meaningless. One day he cried out in frustration, "They said I would be part of a great masterpiece, but all I do is push thread through fabric like a machine. This is nothing." An elder monk nearby replied with a smile, "You're looking at the wrong side of the cloth. One day when the work is done, you'll see the side we're working for. And then you'll realize your thread forms the golden halo around the infant Christ's head." Mary Magdalene's life may have looked simple. She followed, she wept, she remained. But in the eyes of heaven, she shone. Because she stayed, she saw. Because she loved, she was called by name. She didn't need a title. She didn't write epistles. She didn't perform great miracles. What she gave was herself, entirely. And that, more than anything, was enough. She reminds us, it's not power, it's not position, it's not knowledge that makes a life radiant. It is the heart that stays, the heart that loves until the end. This was a sacred calling of Saint Mary Magdalene. If her story stirred something in you, a memory, a question, a longing, let that moment take root. Hit subscribe, not just for the next story, but for the journey it invites you into. Stay with us. Learn to love all the way through. And keep walking forward like she did, because sometimes one quiet story is all it takes to bring light to your own resurrection morning.